There is nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord.
Every single lie that tells me I won't Earlville United Presbyterian Church into this broadcast of worship. As you can tell, we're back in church. This is our second week. We invite you to come and join us at church 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. I want to use just one verse from Matthew's Gospel, the 28th verse of chapter 11. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Jesus challenges us this Independence Day weekend to wonder about how free we are. Despite the national freedom that we celebrate, he reminds us that we're often bound by commitments, dysfunctions, that keep us from responding to him. Do we have freedom? Daring to reach out for the good yoke that he holds out to us. Jesus, I believe, has a question on this Independence Day weekend, and he asks that, are you free? Are you free? It's the kind of thing that we should expect of Jesus. Here we are celebrating our 244th anniversary of our independence. Words like freedom and liberty have punctuated our days, along with the red, white, and blue flags, beautiful fireworks display. And for some of us, fireworks that lasted well into the night in Earlville. But isn't it just like Jesus to rain on our 4th of July parade with words like this? However, before you note that it didn't rain, he chose not to have it rain. And so, I made a mistake. But normally, and not everyone in the world sees this way, for then burdens are for other people. Maybe you're like that. Indeed, they are willing to set up burdens and barriers for others. It would seem that they would do that out of spite, and we are currently embroiled in a season of turmoil. The coronavirus, the pandemic, civil unrest, rioting, looting, sharing a burden together makes sense. But only if we realize that part of the burden that we share is ours in the first place. In our individualistic society, we often think we are responsible just for ourselves and no one else. Perhaps that isn't anything new. Cain did ask God if it was really his brother's keeper. But recognizing that we each have a stake in another's life. That was part of the reason at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin said, "We must all hang together, or assuredly we will all hang separately." Are we free? We talk about freedom. We tend to think about the hard-won freedoms that we cherish under our Constitution. We stand on those freedoms of religion, speech, assembly, of the press, unreasonable search and seizure, from cruel and unusual punishment. All of these and more have been tested and elaborated upon and celebrated over the course of our nation's history. But Jesus seems to be talking about something else when he turns to us and said, "Are you free?" We aren't always free to respond, you know. We get busy, our calendars are filled, activities, assignments, to be done list. We decide that this is time to redo our kitchen, or move to the country, or build a dream house. In the flurry of activity, there's little time to respond to God. We aren't free to respond when we are in the grip of addiction, whether it is to substance, pornography, working, or even shopping. Our addictive behaviors blur our focus. They sap our self-esteem and redirect energies that could have been open to us towards Christ. We aren't free to respond when our financial situation has reached a crisis point, whether it's due to poor choices that we made outside or elsewhere. Debt enslaves us. Other conditions interfere with our burden in less tangible ways, fraying social safety nets. Increased burdens of taxes and health costs have us working harder for smaller rewards. The increased stratification of society imposes burdens not just on the poor, but on the wealthy. We might be well to respond to Jesus' question, "Are you free?" with, "We're doing the best that we can, Lord." It's hard. It's hard, Lord. And Jesus would likely respond in his suitable way, "Exactly. You hit the nail on the head." And when we press him further to explain that, he might say, "You're still trusting in your wisdom. You're still trusting in your wisdom and your intelligence to free you. What foolishness is. I am your source of freedom. I am He." George Matheson wrote a hymn in 1890. It's called "Make Me Captive, Lord." Make me captive, Lord, then I shall be free. How can this be? Can captivity be a precondition for freedom? For those of us who assume freedom means wide open spaces and unbound self-determination, this hymn is incomprehensible. It may be helpful, though, to remember that even our nation's founders knew that freedom and liberty involved some insoluble fetters. In 1776, when the Patriots signed the Declaration of Independence, they were binding themselves to a long-standing fight. The earnest declaration that the time had come for the colonies' independence did not make independence a reality. Indeed, the Revolutionary War did not conclude until 1783, 7 long years after the first independence was declared. Freedom, friends, is costly. In the final words of the Declaration of Independence, the signers named that cost, pledging their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor towards their goals. Make me a captive to the fight for freedom, they might have sung. And then, if I live through it, I shall be free. nor does independence, towards which our founders bound themselves, release those who follow an unfettered future. The Declaration declares the nation of men and women, all created equal, whose right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness would be secured by the government and its role in protecting the most vulnerable. It's clear that a nation cannot offer to each of its citizens absolute freedom to do what they please. Justice requires that our liberties be limited to the extent necessary to guard one another's right. We are bound together by law and proximity, even in this free society. Abraham Lincoln was addressing the Illinois State Senate. He used two phrases that almost became a landmark for the kind of administration, the kind of memory that he would give to this state. He said that America was among a chosen people, the last best hope of earth. Since 1776, millions have looked to the United States for help. Our soldiers have fought in every part of the world to bring peace and democracy there. And each time I see Old Glory, maybe I'm moved to special affection. You may be free, Jesus says to us on Independence Day, but I'm here to make you free. And we notice suddenly that he's holding up something in his hand and it comes into focus. It's a yoke. This is the yoke upon you. Take this yoke. This yoke is good. You see, wear it. You will find rest. You know, I mentioned earlier we are an individualistic society. And so we think of ourselves as pulling on the yoke on our own. Take my yoke upon you, Jesus said, holding out to us. But Jesus isn't inviting us only to be yoked alone, but to be yoked with him. Isn't he bearing the load with us? Could this be the wisdom that the humble, hopefully, including us, give? While the overbearing and the proud fail to see. Working as partners makes us stronger, not weaker. Benjamin Franklin said, "Tell me, and I'll forget. Teach me, and I'll remember. Involve me, and I will learn." When someone is in sorrow, we may not be able to walk and feel as deeply as the one who has been struck with loss. But when we walk, expressing sympathy, take on the task that might be distracting to the one who is grieving, speaking words of encouragement or comfort, sometimes sharing in silence. Does this shared burden make life more bearable? The intelligent hearing these words anew amid the patriotism of this season. I want you to think through. What yoke is Jesus replacing with his? And soon they'll be wondering, could Jesus be challenging us with the yoke of endless wars in the Middle East and Afghanistan? Of millions of Americans who lack health care? Or is it a system in which the top corporate CEOs earn 179 times the average salary of a worker? The intelligent will worry about the political and economic fallout of reaching for Jesus' yoke. So who will reach it? Jesus is beginning to discover that only those who come to him with wonder and simplicity, like children, have sufficient freedom to receive what he has offered. Come to me, he says to them, and his invitation is for us as well. Discover the freedom of resting in my love and my teaching, and you will find rest for your soul. Robert Louis Stevenson said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. With patriots, we know that freedom demands the commitment of our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. Those who lose their life for my sake will find it, Jesus. And so as we reach for the yoke, forsaking all other things that would hold us back, we sing with the saints, make me captive, Lord. Then I shall be free. Let's pray. Almighty God, ruler of all peoples of earth, forgive, we pray, our shortcomings as a nation. Purify our hearts to see and to love truth. Give wisdom to our leaders, steadfastness to our people, and bring us at last to that fair city of peace, whose foundations are mercy, justice, and goodwill, and whose builder you are, through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Now may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May he give you his peace. Go in peace, love, and serve the Lord.